Hi, Elizabeth Pasquale here talking about law of attraction. Now, what is law of attraction? Simply put, what you think about and what you talk about comes about, whether you want it or not. You, like me, many of you, have been looking at law of attraction for a long time now, and we see evidence of it everywhere we look. It's a universal law, like gravity. Everywhere you look, there's gravity. Nothing contradicts it. It's the same with law of attraction. But here's the curious thing about law of attraction. Whatever you believe, it will bring you evidence. So, even if you didn't believe in law of attraction, it would bring you evidence of that. So as I'm starting to grow my belief in law of attraction, it's bringing me evidence left and right and left and right and left and right. For instance, I was at a race up in Albany at an awards dinner. We had a race, Canada versus the US. So I was speaking to a woman from Montreal, and she was telling me about the district that she lived in Montreal. She was saying that when they were kids, her father would pile them all up in the car and they'd go off on vacation, and they lived in Montreal and they'd travel across Montreal to get out of town, and they'd come to a stop right at this bridge in this one particular neighborhood in Montreal. They hated that. All the kids said that this was a really crummy neighborhood, and why do they always have to get stuck in this neighborhood? And they would never, ever, 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 ever in a million years ever live in that crummy neighborhood. Well, that's where she lives. So I said to her, have you ever heard of law of attraction? You know, what you speak about comes about, whether you want it or not. And she said, yeah, I have. In fact, I have this other story for you. When we were teenagers, my sister and I thought that this one particular car was so ugly. The purple Pinto. The Pinto itself was so ugly, and the color was hideous. Who, we said, would ever buy such an ugly model of a car? And who would ever buy such an ugly color? We said we would never, ever, 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 ever date anyone who drove a purple Pinto. And guess what car my husband-to-be drives up in? You guessed it, a purple Pinto. And he lives in that neighborhood. That's how I came to live here. So what you think about, what you talk about, comes about, whether you want it or not. And the other thing about law of attraction, as I said, it brings you proof. It always brings you proof, so you are always right. An example of that is, have you ever tried to win an argument with your spouse? You're right. You have proof. Law of attraction's taken care of that. It brings you evidence of what you believe. But your wife is right too. She has evidence. Law of attraction's been giving her evidence. You're both right. You cannot win. And that is true with every argument. Whether it's you and your spouse, you and your kids, government against government, Democrats against Republicans, you're both right. You cannot win. So what does this mean? No idle chatter here. No chit-chat. The universe is listening to everything. And one other thing. The universe is also talking to us. Yeah, it's talking to us, but so few of us can listen. You see, it's like tuning your radio, and you get the music that's on that station. Most of us are tuned to a station. Our brains are like this. There's so much going on. There's so much static. We can't hear the universe talking to us. Some of us can tune our brains, really, so it's a quiet hum. And allow the universe to talk to us. Allow reception. My friend Esther Hicks is really good at allowing this reception. And so she told me the universe had this to say to us. You humans, we're not making fun of you, but you are funny. We love you very much. You are funny. You think you're living in a drama. You think you're living, some of you, in a tragedy. Well, we're here to tell you, you're living a situation comedy. It's a sitcom. There's nothing serious going on here. Have a great day. Be careful what you say.